Hello and welcome to this version of ZENcast. We're starting off today with some people from customer service. And let me set my screens right here. There we go. All right. That's what I was looking for. So appreciate you being here today. I hope your Easter week was great. We're now into the following Easter, COVID, weeks and weeks and weeks, months for some of you out there. So we just want to thank you for taking your time and coming in and joining us today. Hope all of you are safe. And we just want to let you know that Micro Focus is fully staffed to assist supporting you through this, whether you're dealing with remote individuals or just trying to do upgrades and stuff. Well, I know this is a busy time for everybody. What is ZENcast? ZENcast is basically a place you can come to have your forums, your voice heard, and understand what's going on in the Micro Focus community and how we're supporting you. We have the 7th week is this week, and YouTube channel today is as a Twitter went out, no ZENcast, and that was from last week last Friday. So I apologize if you miss this and you're watching the recording, but we are live today, and we're in our 7th week, and we're glad to be here. You can get registration or announcements via Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. You can subscribe to the YouTube ZENcast channel to see when we go live. So be aware that those things are there for you to be warned that we're on our way and active. One of the things coming up, Micro Focus Virtual Universe 2020 for USA is coming up May 19th through the 21st, and the registration is there. And TTP 2020 USA will be virtual. As much as we don't want this to happen, those dates have just changed. I just got a notice from Peter that it's going to be over 2 weeks, a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, on the 15th, I believe, the week of the 15th, and then the following week. So be aware that that's going to happen. We're looking for people. He's looking for people to have some presentations, and we hope that you guys can register and join us in that particular forum. Again, some of the ZenWorks configuration management, Update1 is in the Lighthouse program. It's targeted May release 2020. And of course, the April 2020 PRU is released. ZenWorks patch management, we have that extended security updates out there for you guys if you decide to subscribe for that. Or you can manually bring those in for Windows 7 and patch them through ZenWorks as well, without having the subscription. ZenWorks reporting server, security patches were released via online updates. Again, we have those DB migration tools. Want to mention those again, going to PostgreSQL for Sybase, MS SQL, and Oracle. So be aware those are there. Understand that the Windows operating systems from Microsoft have become end of life for the 1709 Windows 10. And then in May, 1809 will be end of life, and that's per Microsoft. So once they discontinue their support, we obviously start discontinuing our support for them because we don't need to test them, and we won't be testing them if they're out of support, obviously. We do our best to have backwards compatibility. We still have backwards compatibility with XP and Windows 7, but be aware that those security patches are not coming your way from Microsoft, okay? ZenWorks Service Desk 8.1.2 released in January, and 8.2 is targeted for release this summer, as well as the ZenWorks Service Desk does have a database migration tool as well. So be aware that that's there. What do we have next? We have on our product news. So fantastic news, the webinar recording. Jason just put out a ZenWorks recorded webinar index, and I'm going to try this. My commands didn't seem to be working earlier, but I'm going to do webinars in the chat, and it should come up with the link. And if this isn't working, I've had some technical difficulties today, so I'll have to fix that. But the link should come up. The link is there in the video here. You can see it. Oh, it did come up. Very good. So you can just click on that link to get the new recorded webinar index. And this goes back to 2015, I believe. So he's taken all the webinars we've had and put them all in a nice index so you can see them and pick the ones that you're looking for. Free training. Also, if we do free training, we should be able to get a link there for the on-demand courses. So there's some free training in there. Be aware that that's there, even if you don't have a subscription to on-demand. Microfocus support and training YouTube channel, right? That's the one you're on right now. Subscribe to this particular channel and you'll get notifications. The Microfocus documentation, obviously, we'll do docs. Excuse me a sec. And any one of you should be able to type these commands and you should be able to get those links so that you can easily click on those and save them. ZCM 2020 information, list of fixes, TID 7024113 is available. And we'll display that particular link as well. Okay, so I hope those links help you out. I hope you're able to work with those and get what you need out of them. We're going to move on to forum news and COVID, the Microfocus tools to help support you during this COVID pandemic. To secure and connect your users, there's a link there. And okay, hello Vivian, how are you doing? You can't see my screen. Oh, that's correct. Vivian's one of our guests today. My actual camera is with the stream, so that's why you don't see me there. But feel free to use yours if you wish. But thank you for coming aboard. We'll be getting with our guests in just a moment. Thanks for that warning, though. No worries.
Oh, no, you're welcome, Paul. I thought you were sharing something on your screen is all.
If you're logged in, if you're logged into chat on the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see what's going on. Just as a guest, don't be having your volume up because we'll get that echo. So, but thank you. Troubleshooting, knowledge base, support forums, they're all there for you. You can select those particular commands in the chat and you'll be able to get those links so that you can save them. ZCM 2020 Update 1, new features. There's a bunch of new features coming into this, as well as the fixes. I know some people wait when there's a major release like 2020, you wait for that first update. We did too when I was working at a previous employer, and completely understand getting those fixes in and those types of things. But it also has a bunch of new features around configuration management, inventory, ZENworks agent, patch management, platform support, security dashboards, and MDM capabilities. So there's a lot of things going on in the 2020 Update 1 that you'll be, I'm sure, happy to see come in. Quite a few of those are from the Ideas portal as well. So be aware that that's happening for you guys out there. So we've gone through some discussion news. As I mentioned, Microfocus is here to assist you in any situation, from pre-sales, researching products, demoing products, post-sales setup, upgrades, a down system, break fix, and even professional services and training. So be aware that we're here. Today we have some of the team members with us. I don't think there's a question this group can't answer or at least provide a contact information for. So we're happy to have some people here. I'm going to go ahead and display their names here. We got Rosemary McKee, Customer Service Representative. Todd Laycock, he's a USA SE for Pre-Sales Consultant. Robert Ridley, Sales Specialist. And Kurt Finlaysian on the same team, Sales Specialist. Vivian Leduc is a PSE. And Heather Burkett, who's on my team, a Customer Support Engineer. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to turn off my phone. Obviously, I got volumes going on there. Let's do that. And let's go ahead and have Rosemary. How are you doing today? I don't have audio for you yet. There you go.
Okay, there. I'm doing good.
Good to have you. Thanks for coming aboard. You're a customer service representative, right? And so can you give us a little bit of information on your position and what are some of the services you provide
Okay. As he said, my name's Rosemary, and I started with Novell in 2000 in the customer service area when we were customer service reps. It's 2019. We're now Micro Focus, and we are considered first line support. We are the people that you reach when you dial the main support number. If you come in on the chat lines, you're going to reach a first line support person. And just to mention really quick, as Paul said about with COVID, even our team has instructions on providing the fastest assistance possible for you to get to your engineer or whoever is needed if your issue is impacting in that area. So just to let you know, it's global for all of us to help with that. Mainly answering how do we make a service request or open a service request for you. We are also known as the entitlements team, and that right now is probably a bigger part. If you have any issue that's not break or fix, we request that you email entitlements@microfocus.com. We'll answer entitlements questions such as, I seem to be missing a product, or where can I find my Zen keys, or which Zen key goes with which product, or there's something, I can't download, I don't have access, I'm being told that I'm restricted. We answer all of those questions, and basically that's what we do. We answer your non-break fix questions and get you to the right sources for help for any other issues. Questions? Does that about it?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, I know, as a customer, I even talked to you. So when I was way back when I was in as a customer, but you guys are like on the front lines. You guys are, the first phone call or whatever. And so you guys seem to be able to navigate where to go for
Chances
that.
are, if we don't
Entitlements.com.
know
Go ahead.
the answer, we will know the resource. We will know the resource because it's amazing that the knowledge we get, because we get so many questions and we deal with all of the departments within the company. We pretty much know if we don't know it, where to send you or for where us to go to get the answer for you. And that's usually what we do. We'll try to get the answer for you.
So cut to the chase and call Rosemary's group, right? Yeah, that's
Right.
great. Well, thank you, Rosemary. We're going to move on over to Vivian Leduc. She's our PSE. She's a premium support engineer. And hello, Vivian. How are you doing today?
Hello, Paul. Hi, everybody. Doing as well as can be and really busy these days with helping customers who are getting an increasing number of users working from home. So we're being creative in that regard, and ZenWorks is playing a big part, of course.
Of course, of course. So what is some of your primary roles? Are you're face to face with the customer, your support back end? What is your role?
Well, I've been with the company, I guess, about 14 years. I left for 3.5. I was here for 13. I left for 3.5, came back, and I'm so happy I'm back, by the way. I love it here and love the customers, love everything about the job, the work. So as a PSE, a lot like what Robert does, or exactly like what Robert does, pretty much, just a different name for the role. But we provide, the front line, but in the sense that it's up to 4th level support. So depending on how you define levels of support, we'll take it all the way up to development if we have to. Of course, we work with a team, backline, of which you're part of, Paul, and you're amazing at it. And developers and service account managers and other team members who help us. So it's a huge collaboration effort. We act as trusted advisors to our customers wherever possible. We even have SEs who come in who specialize in certain areas for, new products that we work with, so that, of course, if the customer implements these products and goes ahead with projects and new products, that we're able to support them. We help with upgrades, of course, break fix. Yes, that's
Sure.
where we prefer to be proactive, and that's what probably differentiates us from, you know, other, I would say, services, is that we work to be proactive as opposed to reactive wherever possible, so that we can prevent issues, which is great. So,
Sure.
I love that part of the job.
So a lot. So maintenance, proactive, forecasting what new updates might be coming out and how they can implement them and so forth.
Oh yeah, root cause analysis. The job is, there's a lot to it. It's
Sure.
great. It's a little bit like being acrobatic, in IT. It's fun.
That's great. Well, thank you for joining us today. We'll have some more questions coming up. Robert Ridley is another is sales specialist, premium support west. It says so. Robert, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
So glad to
Uh,
have you aboard today. Thanks for coming to the ZENcast. We just wanted to check out and see what your role is. Sales specialist. What are we dealing with here?
it's basically the same as Vivian's. Some of that's just internal titles that kind of got changed, everything like that. But it's basically a dedicated support resource, primary support engineer. Sometimes the name may change on and off throughout the years, but it's the role is the same. I think Vivian pretty much hit most of the topics of what we do and what we try to do and what services we provide. Me personally, I've been with the company for almost 20 years. I supported pretty much every single product, but I've been working with ZenWorks since the 2X days, and I've been familiar with its conversion from a simple Windows app on the desktop
Oh yeah.
to through ZCM. So I've got customers that have been running the current version of ZCM since the 10X days. So
Right.
been working with it for quite a long time. So it's yeah.
So you remember now 1.0.
Yes, it's been a while. Yes, and I known the person who actually wrote that too.
Is
So
that right?
it's been a
That's
while.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that's when I came aboard as a customer. We were doing ZenWorks, actually now ZenWorks Desktop Management, right? ZDM. Anyway, yeah, we were on now 1.0 and just thought that was an amazing product. And then when ZenWorks 2.0 and 3, so I kind of grew up with it as a customer and then did some consulting on the side with that as well. But yeah, it's come a long ways. It's a very broad product.
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah, and
Awesome product.
yeah,
Awesome product.
agree. Every time, as a customer, every time, we'd go through, I'd go on the betas and I'd go and go, wow, these are great features. I don't know what else they can do. And next time something else comes up, and now we got malware even coming into it. So, I mean, security on the desktop is a big thing, and we gotta keep maintaining that. And I think ZenWorks does a great job, and you guys out there in the field really answer a lot of questions and get things done out there. So I appreciate you guys being out there. Um, Go ahead.
Just one thing. I know that not only for us, but also it's great for the customers to go out there to the ideas portal, make sure they put any new ideas that they
For
want,
sure.
because I have a lot of my customers come up to me and want something, and our development always takes our feedback and with a certain level, but they really love customer feedback and they want to hear from the customers, because just because we want something doesn't mean somebody else wants it. So definitely, if you have feedback for new features, it's definitely advantageous for you to go out there and either vote on an existing topic or add something new if you have a need for it.
Yeah, let's see if I have an ideas link. I think I do. I'll put that in chat so they can go there and have that link for them. So yeah, it's ideas portal, and that's where these enhancements come from. I mean, people have ideas and they go, hey, I'd like to see this in the product. They go to the ideas portal, and again, some of I as a customer, I'd put things out there on the ideas portal, and it would and it would sit there, and I'm like, and people would vote on it. But then I realized, coming on this side of the fence, I realized sometimes that coding just isn't applicable during that update. So it takes a couple of series for them to actually get it woven into the actual code. But a lot of them still come in quite quickly. So it's a great thing for the customers to be able to implement their enhancements, right? And own it.
Yeah. Yeah, and just because it's not immediate doesn't mean that it's not being planned for, like you
Absolutely.
said. So, because I mean, there's plans to implement certain things, and so but if they don't know about it, they'll never implement it.
Correct.
So,
Correct. Yeah, it's like I always tell my kids, if you don't ask, it's always no, right? I mean, you don't know what the answer is. So, yeah, absolutely. If you got to put it out there so we're aware of it and we can start, and other people, and they chime in and really push for it. So that's great. Thanks for bringing that up. Heather Burkett, customer support engineer. She's on the East. No, you're not in the East Coast. You're Central, right?
No, I'm East Coast.
You're East Coast. Okay, I got you
I
mixed
am.
up with someone else. So welcome aboard today. Thanks for coming in as part of my team, coming in and representing. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent, thank you.
Good, good. So you have some kids, so
I
you're
do.
working through that. So we're there for you, and understand your feeling. But I'm glad you're able to set aside some time and come aboard with us. What are some of your roles and services that you provide for on the customer support side?
Echoing a lot of what everybody else has said, typically something will come in from the customer service rep area, like Rosemary's group, and it's usually just questions about the product or having issues with the product, and they need some assistance getting everything working the way that it should. I personally specialize in the mobile device management aspect of it. I've only been with the company for about 3, 4 years now, but I've been in the mobile space for 15.
Yes.
Originally back before iPhones were even a thing, before ActiveSync was a big thing. Blackberries and Palm Pilots. Getting corporate mail on those devices.
Sure. Sure.
And then from that all the way up through now, where things have certainly come a long way, and mobile security is incredibly important. And I support both the standalone ZenWorks mobile management platform as well as the MDM functionality integrated into the ZenWorks product.
Sure, yeah, and I have to say that it's nice to have you with us, being able to leverage your expertise in what we do, because that's something that's not on my high end scale of knowledge. So it's good to have you here and be able to leverage that. You've done a great job assisting us with that stuff. So thank you for coming aboard. So some of the questions that I have, that I don't see any questions in chat yet, but I'm going to go ahead and move forward with some questions. Like if we get some calls, what if we don't have an SR? So who can feel this one? I don't have an SR. I got a break fix situation. It could be either down or just some authentication issues. Who do I call?
Me. You call Rosemary, you call the customer, the first line support team, and we will go through a few questions such as, have you tried opening it up in your customer center? Do you have a support agreement? We'll just go through the basics, and as long as you have a support agreement, we'll go ahead and either help you learn how to open it yourself in the customer center, or we will open it for you and then get you in queue for the next available Zen engineer or whichever engineer you need.
So you can pipe them directly into the engineers immediately.
No, I guess I should qualify that. We would put you in queue depending on what you want for a response, either chat. If you're in chat, we'll put you in the chat queue to hold for an engineer. If it's a callback or an email, then the engineer will contact you by that method of response.
Sure. But I know, I know, like in chat, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
we used to have the phone hold, and we no longer have that.
Oh, okay. All right. So, and I know that, you do your best to try and, especially if it's a down situation, to try and help the customer get resources as soon as possible, because I know you've pinged me and some of my other colleagues on certain situations.
If they call in and notify us that it's critical and and it meets the critical criteria, which basically we have to ask, is it a live production system total down? Is there a workaround?
Sure.
And then sometimes we will ask how many users. And right now we put it in queue, we raise the severity, we notify management immediately.
Fantastic. Yes.
That it's sitting there.
And for the audience out there, we do everything we can to try and get you rolling, even if you don't have an SR, or maybe we can resolve it via an email to an engineer or somebody, or get your sales rep tied into it so that you can get that license code or whatever you need, the new product or whatever. So yeah, there's a for the audience, we do everything we can, and we have people set up here on this call as well as throughout the globe to be able to help you with your product in ZenWorks and other products, obviously the microfocus platforms.
And could I say our
Please.
team is 24/7, 365. Just like support, there's always somebody on duty, but we're in Singapore, Belfast, Ireland, and Provo, Utah. So we cover everything every single day, every single minute.
That's great to know. I forgot that the Singapore was out there. That's great. Yeah, globally 24/7. That's a huge task, but we have it manned for the audience. So that's great. Thank you for that. Robert and Vivian, do you do some pre-sales? Do you do demos? What if I have? Hey, I'm looking at, this product. Let's say Filer. I'm looking at Filer. How can I go ahead and get Filer in and see what it does? Because I don't want to buy it yet. I want to just see what it does. I hear good things about it, the COVID and all that.
So
Go ahead, Robert.
I was just saying, me personally, if I have a customer that, they're already one of my accounts and they're asking for just to sing a product, either I will set it up in my lab or I will work with them to set it up in one of their labs. Again, most of our products have, 90 days, 60 days, some sort of time frame for them to demo the product,
Evaluation license,
to evaluate the product. And so that way they can, just look at the product, and we'll help them with the install, configuration, things like that. So that way they can best utilize it for what their needs are.
Good to know. Yeah. So you can direct them to the site to download it. You can direct them to the site on the documentation, and you'll even, kind of give them hints and tips on how to install it and so forth to get it rolling.
Yeah. Yeah, things, the proper way to do things, if there's any gotchas, or if, best way to implement it, especially since we know about their environment.
Sure.
A lot of times we can help them avoid, possible issues by just saying, okay, configure it this way and not this way. So because we know this is how your business runs.
That's great. Yeah, right. And that's part of what you need to know is the knowledge about their environment, right? So being able to tie into their environment.
Exactly. I mean, many of our customers we've had supported for, probably some of them almost 10 years or more. So we probably know their environments better than they do in some respects, just for the fact that they have turnover.
Sure.
And we've been around a lot longer than some of their employees, so
yeah.
we have some history on their environment. So it can make a big difference. So
I bet.
To have just somebody else, especially if you have, we also bring in experience from other accounts that we work with. Fantastic. So we see what other people are doing, what other engineers are doing. So that all comes together, and that way we give the correct type of feedback to the customer.
Good. Yeah, it's not just the experience of knowing their environment, but knowing other environments and what they've gone through to get that product up and running. That's a great point. And what are some? Go ahead, Vivian.
I was just going to say, just to add to that, and that's why we're called. So Robert and I are called named engineers for the accounts. We're not dedicated. We're partially dedicated. I guess 1/4. We each get approximately 4 accounts.
Okay.
that we work with on a daily basis. So this way we get to know our customers and their environments and what best practices, of course, and we work as a team internally to provide those to the customers we work with.
Sure. Sure. And so you're spread amongst a couple of different customers as opposed to a dedicated engineer would be dedicated to one site only.
Or semi-dedicated. There are different plans.
Oh,
So
okay.
for example, I'm getting a customer I had for 13 years when I was here before, and they've, as so many places have done, and basically consolidated services, they've become much larger, and so we're 4 of us to take
Okay.
care of this really large account, and 2 of us are semi-dedicated.
Sure.
So it,
Well, that's great to know that there's different plans out there for customers to be able to pick and choose.
oh, and they're even hours. You can even buy just hours from people like us.
So now this is separate from professional services, right?
Yes, it is. It's called flexible credits.
Okay. Good to know, so they can talk to their salespeople if they need some hours or some dedicated expertise on site. They can at least have that to their disposal if they purchase that. That's great. So let me ask you one more thing. What about design and implementation? I mean, it sounds like, because you know their environment, you can now go in and have some input on the design and the actual implementation of the product.
For sure. For sure.
Okay.
But
Good.
again, like we were saying before, we all work together. We draw on our own expertise, our backline developers, and systems engineers, each other's. We have great forums and great collaboration methods, I find, for sharing information so that we provide the absolute best information for our customers. It's great.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
fantastic collaboration you guys have, and you know, as a team, I'm proud to be on the team that reaches out to each other, and that way everybody, one, can learn, and two, can actually get you your answer from the right expert as soon as possible. So that's great. Moving over to Heather, customer support engineers. Typical calls, Heather.
Typically, by the time they get to me, it's a question of something not working the way that they expect it to be working. So really, it's just a matter of figuring out whether it's something that a customer needs a little bit more education on. Show them some documentation for how things are supposed to be set up and configured, or the actual product it has an issue that we need to work through and figure out how to work around it or get a solution in place.
A defect or get a fix.
Exactly.
Yeah, yep. And so what? Who are you? I'm going to say, who are your lifelines?
Well, I'm going to echo what everybody else has said. We have a great team where we can collaborate with our colleagues, and everyone kind of has a different area of expertise. So if I take something that's not in the mobile space and I need a little bit of help on that, great coworkers that can help, steer in the right direction and join in. And also we can reach out and discuss things with developers as well if we think it might have something to do with the product.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's I echo that as far as being a support engineer myself. Being able to reach out to development, being able to work with Vivian and Robert and the other SEs, PSEs, and DSEs to be able to get that customer working. There's so much wealth of knowledge, and the nice thing is everybody shares it. So that's really a great avenue for Micro Focus. I think that's one of their top strengths.
For sure. For sure.
Absolutely.
So another thing, let's say I need training. Who's going to jump in? I need training on ZENworks full disk encryption.
Maybe on demand.
On demand would be good. Yep, on demand is always available. There is a purchase for some of it, which is a full course, And then there's also I guess you could do flex credits, right? Because that was
Yes.
brought up. We could do professional services if it's a big implementation. I know when I was at my previous employer, we wanted service desk, so we brought in somebody from Micro Focus to help us implement the ITIL version. And ITIL is so large, right? It's so detailed, and it's more process based than actual a product based. So we wanted to get a better understanding. So we brought somebody in from Micro Focus on professional services. Of course, the documentation's getting better each time. And then being able to explore the product itself in a test environment. So yes, that's all good answers, all available to customers out there when they're exploring new type of products, or they have a product and it doesn't seem to be working like they want it to, and the documentation isn't clear, right? Who do I contact if I need a demo? Is that any particular individual, or what? Let's say I'm a customer and I need to throw up service desk and I want to see the store.
Well, we have sales people assigned to accounts, right?
Sure.
And sometimes accounts, depending on the accounts and how they're categorized, they may have an SE, a sales engineer.
Sure.
Not like Robert. Robert's more like me. Why he's called
Right.
I don't know why he's called a sales engineer, but he's more like me, more break fix and design implementation upgrades, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas an SE, a sales engineer, is more for, here is how we can sell you this product and make it work for you in your environment, and we'll set up a POC and
POC, proof of concept, right?
proof of concept.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Like, it's more official than what Robert was talking about, as far as, yeah, we can do the same thing, but they may take it further.
And so, yeah, so I want to set up the store. I have an SE that calls me. Is there a cost for that? What's the ramifications for me exploring a product and wanting to have some type of a demo?
I don't think there's any cost, and I think if you own the product, especially, and you're not using it,
right?
And you're not using it, they'll help you. Will help you use it, and it
Right.
may be Robert and I, or it may be the sales engineer and sales. But if you don't own it, well, then it may just be the SE who can help you, because
Right.
if you don't own it.
Pre-sales.
Or you can just download it from the public website and
Yeah.
go from there.
Yeah. And
Because
it's almost. Go ahead.
once you do the eval, it does send a form over to the salespeople to let them know that you're interested in it, so they can contact you.
Sure, and that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah,
For-
yeah.
For a type of support. And that's where I like how everybody's chiming in, because it's like Rosemary may get the call, or they may say, how do I download? They'll call Rosemary, and then Vivian might need to help them set it up or assist them with some documentation. And then if there's some other technical questions, Heather or myself or other team members will pick it up and assist there. So yeah, it's well rounded. I'm excited. I've been here 5 years, and I'm just so excited to still be on the Micro Focus engineering team and working with the people collaborating with you all. As far as, let's see, I'm looking, yeah, like imaging, system updates, downtime. I think we've covered most everything for most of the calls. How do you interface with the customer? Is it you drive out to the site? Do you remote control? What's the avenue there?
Depends on what they want. They
Okay.
can request all. If they request an on-site, that can be set up. There's additional cost usually. If they want to come in and chat with somebody, if they want to call us, we're here. If they want to email,
Sure.
we're set. Probably not the way for break fix, but if
No.
they have other questions, entitlements is there, and we'll respond via email.
Sure. And even if, and I think it comes down to navigating them to the sales rep, who can then disseminate the information to figure out which way to go, right? If it's break fix or down system, or if it's just some questions that need to be answered. And I find it still happens where the sales or the pre-sales engineers or the SEs, we're still interfacing with them, so we'll still they'll get to the right spot so that we can get our customers what they need and questions answered. So because I know this, when at my previous employer, I'd have Micro Focus would visit me occasionally, every year, a couple times a year, and we'd cover some of the avenues that were the current environment and where we're moving to. So, and that would sometimes involve, I've had developers go out. I've gone out with some developers to different sites. So product managers have gone to sites so they can understand better how the customer's using their product. I've been with product managers that we've gone to sites and spent a half a day just to understand how are you using store, or what is your processes, and how are you using our product. So again, for
And
the
to add
audience,
to that,
go ahead, please.
yeah, and to add to that, Paul, for us, we'll do something called a proactive service analysis, and there may be different names for it. We will spend 2 or 3 days, or maybe even longer, depending on, and that's per product.
Sure.
Usually per year. I think we try to do them yearly, right, Robert? I think for each of our products that we support.
It really depends on the customer, but if they request it, some of my accounts, they just like me to go work on specific things on site, and while other things they prefer remotely. So a lot of times it's a VPN connection or a terminal server or through a Teams connection. So it just really depends on the account. Some of them like the proactive ones. A lot of them are kind of an ongoing process, so they don't really care about a report. We're very flexible if you haven't determined that already. So,
yeah.
but we offer a lot, but it's depending on what the customer wants to take advantage of.
Sure.
Yeah, I find them really handy, those proactive service analysis. You often find a lot of stuff that's misconfigured or maybe been changed somehow accidentally, or however else you want.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful on a new account. So if you've just signed up for support, you've never had it before for premium support, then it's definitely something you want to do at the beginning, and then doing on an ongoing basis, whether it's yearly or every 2 years, or if
whatever works.
Whatever it fits into their schedule, because a lot of times when you sign up for support, there's usually a reason. So either you've had issues in the past, or you're planning on a large upgrade cycle, something similar. And so generally we work with the customer to see what their desires are and to get that done.
Yeah, and that proactive service analysis fits in well with what you're saying. We're trying to prevent issues, and that's really where what helps, I find, the most, and that's taken care of on an ongoing basis, like you're saying. So yeah, just to add to what you were saying, Paul.
Oh no, that's great. So you have some documentation on the environment itself.
Oh, it's
Really?
it's very well documented.
Yeah.
And that's one of the best ways to do that is with the proactive service analysis. And like Robert was saying, especially when it's let's say you're newly assigned to the account, whether they're new or not, but I mean, you want to get to know the account better. So the best way to do that for us is with a proactive service analysis. And while you're doing that, you're documenting, or if it isn't already.
Sure. Yeah, and that's what I try. Now I know the term for it, but that's what I try and stress in some of the videos when we're doing upgrades and stuff, to update that documentation, the corporate documentation, so that if you have a support call or you're expanding your environment, you have the details. That some of these are fire and forget things. The 10-year certificate,
Sure.
right, for ZENworks.
Or 2-year external certificates, Paul.
2-year external. I did it 2 years ago. How do I do it? And
yes, every 2 years. It's you don't do it often enough to remember.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And you don't need to. So we need to make sure our documentation is sound, but we also, it's one of those things where we'll get a call, hey, I'm going to need to remit my CA. How do I do that? Or I had one of the first 10-year certificates expiring, the internal certificate expiring, and it had gone from 11, I don't know if it was 10 or not, but 11 through 2017, update 4, update 3, and they're like, how do we do this again? We used to have to do all these commands, and I don't see that in the documentation, so yep, it's having that
That's a
document.
good one. That's a
ahead.
good one to be proactive with.
Yes, and documented for sure.
Yes,
For sure.
exactly.
And they've looped a lot of things into the ZCC to be able to do that automated. So that's some things that they may not know, from when they did it last. So
Sure. Yeah.
So-
The ZCC is amazing for reminding you, hey, you've got to get this done. It's a real lifesaver for some organizations, I have to say.
the NAG,
great.
the NAG box. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
and so, Heather, I'm going to turn to you and ask, like, as far as your resources, what kind of resources do you have when you get a call? I know you mentioned your expertise is in the MDM. It's been very flexible, or it's been very a great expertise to have. I know for me, because I can always rely on some answers from you. But what are your back end? Some of the things that are on your back end may be because we have 2 MDM products, right?
We do, yes.
And so we have a third party that we're migrating away from, and then in 2017 we put MDM in, right?
Right. And we have really good documentation about both of those things. I know the one we're migrating away from, the standalone system, the documentation's a little bit old there, but that's mostly because it hasn't really changed much since a lot of our focus has been on the MDM implementation in ZENworks, which has really come a long way since it first got implemented. Lots of new features and lots of fixes of things to get it working very well. But yeah, mostly documentation, the stuff even on the forums from the customer perspective, posting questions on the forum and, getting solutions and suggestions of things that various customers have tried in their environments. Because really, I would have to say, as Vivian was talking about the preparedness thing with MDM specifically, knowing what it is you want to accomplish is very important. Because there's so many different things that you can do with MDM, and if you don't have a game plan going in about what kind of policies are important to you, what things you want to implement, what do you want to restrict, what do you want to allow, are you going to be doing application management, pushing out mobile applications to the devices, having a game plan of what you want to accomplish there so you can prepare is very helpful and very important.
Sure. Yeah, and that again, that pre-planning, right? Understanding what you need. Yeah. I see Kurt just joined. Thanks, Kurt, for coming aboard. Are you there?
Sorry about that. I was on a call with a customer.
No worries. I'm glad you're able to make it. So, Kurt, give us a little bit of background with you.
Let's see here. I have been with Novell/Micro Focus for, as of this Friday, 20 years.
Well, congratulations. That's fantastic. 20 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Congrats,
Time flies.
Kurt.
Thanks. I actually started out as an intern testing ZENworks imaging, and some of the Now pieces, they moved me over to testing Now, Novell application launcher.
Wow.
And then when I graduated from college, I got a backline position with ZENworks and worked there from 2002 to 2011. And then I decided to take the plunge and go to be a premium support engineer for the state of California. And I was there from 2011 to 2018, mid-18, 19?
Yeah,
19.
18. I think it was 18, wasn't it?
Last year. So
19, yeah.
So 8 years with them. and then they changed me around a little bit again, and so now I have a couple of customers and also working on new product with big data analytics. So, but I still focus a lot on ZCM.
Okay.
So.
Great. Well, we're glad to have you aboard. Robert and Vivian covered a lot of the PSE, DSE type functions. What are some of your strengths?
I would say just because of all the testing I did with imaging, I think my strength at this point in time is still core is the imaging core of ZENworks.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know you were in imaging. Now I know who to call.
Yeah. So me and
too.
Moises do a lot. So.
Oh, that's good to know. And these are the little things that we try to tap into, right, Vivian, to find out who knows what, get there the fastest, so we can get our answers.
Agreed.
That's
Yep.
great. So ZENworks.
Now, just a quick tidbit too is,
Sure.
you know, with 2020, you have the ability to set up the dashboards to be a lot quicker.
Correct.
And under the covers, it's Vertica that's running. So
Yes.
I actually set it up and have got it working. So if you need help with that, I
Oh,
can help
fantastic.
there too.
Okay, yeah, I haven't installed Vertica yet. I just got my ESXi server, so now I have enough room, and I won't be using VMware Professional, right?
Yeah, because it takes a lot of memory to bring that up. So
yeah, so yeah, no, that's good to know. I may tap into some of those resources you have for us. Thank you for that shout out.
Yep.
So again, Kurt, we have Robert and Rosemary, Vivian, and Heather on. We appreciate you guys here. Do we have any other shout outs we want to tell the customer? So is there anything that you'd like to express to the customer that, one, thank you for being with us, because I just want to announce that, because it's if it wasn't for you guys, we'd be having a harder time with the job, right? I mean, but I'm glad you guys love the actual product. I'm glad you guys are giving us the ideas. But I just appreciate being able to be on this side of the fence as well, on the microfocus side, working with these fine engineers. Do we have any shout outs out there, Rosemary? What do you think? Any advice?
Any advice? No. You can always start with us and we'll direct you.
There
somewhere.
it is. That's some of the best advice right there. I know I had called.
It's good to know what different specialties are. So if we just have a question that may be quick, we can maybe ping and ask somebody.
Yep.
I know I'll do that to Heather frequently, and I've done it to Kurt. Customer just kind of wants a yes or no. If they go more than that, then you need a service request. But sometimes I'll give a little leeway, like, yeah, let me see if I can just get a yes or no answer for you.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and again, we appreciate your collaborating with the team and then getting that customer an immediate answer if you can. And Heather, what about you? What's your shout out for customers? I'm putting everybody on the spot, just so you know.
Yeah. I think just kind of echoing what we've already said about planning. Like if you haven't yet implemented something and you're thinking about doing it, asking some questions, researching it, and figuring out what it is you want to do maybe before before you start. And obviously testing things. If you have a test environment, to start tinkering
Wonderful.
a little bit with some settings to, see how things behave is always a great idea.
Absolutely. Throw up that appliance or something so that you can at least see what happens with the product when it goes through a particular transformation. So, no, that's great advice. I appreciate that. We're going to move over to Vivian. What do you have for shout out?
Well, first, I'd like to thank everybody for being our customers. We're certainly happy and ready and willing and able to help you wherever you need us. And I guess my shout out would be use our services, get credits. you don't know what you've got until you try it. So try us out.
Exactly. Yeah, and things like this COVID, they're giving out licenses through September to be able to get people working from home on, their work files and stuff. So, yeah, if you
And
don't
that's what
know.
we're working on. Exactly. We're helping our existing customers with those challenges. So we're gaining that, that valuable experience as well, because I mean, you don't know what you don't know. This is the first time we run into this, and we're all in it together, right? And so
Absolutely.
we're definitely working to help our customers with whatever challenges come up throughout this.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. And Robert, how about you? You've been given enough time now. You should have something.
Well, you said that, and one of my things was basically having a lab.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, that's one of the most important things, and not just having a lab, having an accurate lab is probably the best way to do it, because if you have 500 servers in production, but you have a single server lab, there's not really feasible to have 500 servers, but having something that accurately represents your
Sure.
production environment will give you the best results. And maybe keeping up with the documentation on it, if change control, if you don't have an official change control process, that can help with the troubleshooting process, because there may be a change you made a couple weeks ago that you're actually seeing the change now. It could be
Oh, sure.
a schedule, things like that. And granted, support can get most of that information via logs and whatnot. But if you know what happened, a lot of times we can help you make those changes back, revert them, or maybe change something else to go along with it. So
Sure.
just to expand on that other comment as well. So that's probably one of the most important things that I've had with really any product that we have, but especially with ZenWorks, just because it does so much.
Yeah, that's a great shout out. I appreciate that, because just being able to, you don't always want to revert back either. If you have to, we can help you with that. But like you said, change control is a documentation process of being able to see what you've done that might have affected what you're experiencing now. So, yeah, that's a great shout out. And Kurt, how are you doing?
Good. Hey, so my shout out is ZenWorks is like a car. You always got to keep the maintenance on it done, and that
Sure.
means keeping up with the latest and greatest ZenWorks environment. Because towards the end of this year, 2017 Update 4 is end of life.
Right.
So
Right.
customers have got to keep that in mind and start planning for it.
Keep moving forward. And if you're on like 11.4.3 right now, which is end of support, we're still helping you get to 2020. So
Yep.
don't just drop it. Use what you have, and we'll get you in line with the latest. So yeah, no, great shout out. Well, you heard it here from all the support guys and gals. We have a great team here backing up the products so that you can make sure you get what you need done out in your environments. And I appreciate each one of you coming aboard today and giving your input. It's a great collaborative effort. I appreciate your time and being able to join us today. So I wanted to thank you very much, and we'll probably be moving on to our demonstration here in just a little bit. But thank you guys very much for being on the stream today.
Very welcome. Thanks for
Yep.
having us.
You bet.
Yep,
And we'll do
thank
it
you,
again.
Paul.
We'll do it again.
Hi.
All right. Bye-bye. So we have today's ZENcast demonstration is ZCM 2020 Update 1 installation. We're going to run through that real quick, which covers a few things, right? We want to check out our system prereqs. We want to check our ZDC. We're going to look at our ZenWorks services as far as making sure the other primaries or the services are turned off for that first one. Backups. And again, we start with the first primary. If it's if you have an internal database, you want to make sure you start with that primary server so that it can update the schema on the database. And then you'll do the other primaries and then satellites. And that's basically when you're done. Doing the managed devices is just all gravy, right? Because it's backwards compatible. They don't need to be, they just need to be 11 up in order to 11.3, 11.4 to be able to talk to the 2020 and 2020 update 1. So we're going to go over to, I'm going to turn this off. So we have the community website. I mentioned earlier the ZenWorks Community Webinars Recording Index. This is it here. So it's in dated order, sorted by date, but you can go way back, and even some of these back in 2016, 2017, it's on reports, it's on, best practices, they still apply. So do look at the whole list over, not just the most recent ones, because you'll find some very important details as far as what you're looking for. And then in the whole webinar, typically they'll have slides, they'll have links, so you'll be able to get some of the information there. And we try to keep, if it's linked to a particular TID, we try to keep those TIDs updated. If it's, for instance, if a TID comes out to fix something, a workaround, and it's fixed in the next rev, we try to update that TID to say that, but at least the TID remains out there so you can research that. Okay? The other thing about 2020 Update 1. So, as mentioned, we have a few different things that we're working on in new features for Update 1. Not just fixes, but we're also looking at new features. Configuration management. We have some mobile management, bundle management. So we have a bunch of different things that we can, that we're introducing in Update 1. So I want to make sure that you'll see this documentation as soon as it's released. We also have things in inventory, okay, and enhancements for administrator-defined fields. And then we have other things like ZenWorks Agent and patch management. So the new agent installer for Mac devices and the ability to hide folder lists, which has been a request from customers. So again, the Ideas portal. Patch management, custom patch enhancements, user interface, displayed while applying patches during shutdown. So you can actually apply them during shutdown. So before it actually shuts down, it'll apply the patches so that next boot, it'll already be there. And then platform support. So we have a lot of things going on in the Update 1. I'm going to go ahead and do an update for Update 1. As you can see, I'm logged. It's probably going to log me. It probably timed out. Let's see if it timed out. I'm going to log out. And we'll log back in to our administration console. Let's try again. And we could see under our configuration that we have an internal certificate, we have an external database, and MSSQL. It's at 2020, which is what it is required to be on. And then this one is a second primary server in the zone. Let's relog in. And this one's 146, 2020. If we go ahead and go home, we can see there's online updates available, some security updates. So check this or schedule it. You can schedule it here, or you can update immediately. We're not going to do that today, but there are some that have been recently released. So double check those or have it on a schedule so you keep your appliances secure, just as you would your other, if you had Windows or Linux. Let's go ahead and go to ZenWorks Control Center. Take a look at our environment real quick. Oh, my time keeps doing that. I had it fixed just a minute ago, but for some reason, so my time's about 10 minutes off between my database. We're at 20.0, 2 primaries, no satellites. In system updates, you typically do a check for updates, right? Now, since Update 1 is not officially released yet, I downloaded and installed the Update 1 Gold Master. It's awaiting authorization. But what do we do first? We check prereqs, and we go ahead and we do our ZDC. So by doing so, let's go ahead and run our ZDC real quick. It's doing this because of the time zone again. So we'll go SU space minus password, and I loaded in TMP. And let's see if I can get that any larger. I don't know if I can. I can't get it any larger. And then if we look in the ZDC, we can see we need to make the ZDC executable. So we'll do chmod plus x ZDC. Okay. And this is 146. This is one of our primaries, right? So let's go ahead and run ZDC verify minus v system files Zen database, and then minus b, and we're going to go to data baseline. So in the ZDC you have a folder called data, and you're going to run it against that. Oops, typo, fat fingered it. It's going to go ahead and run. In the meantime, we're going to go over to our other primary, 145, and we'll do the same thing. Oh, it's right here. Okay. Change plus executable ZDC. Parameters will be system files on this particular primary, and then we want to run on the audit database. Minus B. And run that. Okay. Again, you want to make sure you have the same ZDC version as ZDC zone you're running against. And we're here and we're here. So this one's still running. Let me get my WinSCP up. It's already up. So let's go, we're logged into 145 and 146. We will create a new directory called ZDCs. Go on into that. And then here we'll go into ZDCs. And let's go ahead and navigate over to the ZenWorks diagnostics reports. They're not done yet. It's still running. So we'll wait for this to finish. Again, we've done our backups. We've done our prereqs. So we're good to go. If we needed to revert back after this update, we'd obviously want to back up or restore to the database, because we should have a backup of the database at the same time as the primaries, right? So you want to keep those versions the same as well. So this is running. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the control center real quick. We're going to go ahead and authorize this. Okay, so it is ready to deploy. Let's do this. I can increase this one a little better. Still running the system files here. The documentation 2020. There'll be an update 1 in here once it's complete, so you can tap into the update 1 product as well. Again, it's not released until May, but we're going to go through the sequence here of doing an update. We see also we have the April 2020 PRUs available. If we wanted to, we could then download and apply. Let's see if we have any finished. Not yet. We're going to go to 146. Oh, we're already on 146. I want a new terminal. And I'm going to get ready to turn off the ZENworks services. I'll go ahead and wait for this to finish before I do that. Okay, we're ready to deploy. We'll deploy that as soon as we have our services turned off. Getting close. Yeah, we're in the W's. Okay. So any questions from chat about the process? Things you want to look at? We're going to run through it real quick. Again, yours will be able to check for updates, and your 2020 update 1 should fall right into here once it's released. This one will finish first, I believe, because this is the one we did the audit database on. And the audit database goes real quick. So if there's any other questions, please shout them out in chat. Sorry, I can't make that any bigger for you. It doesn't get any bigger. I'll change the it's the first time using the ESXi, so it should be working well enough to do this, but now I just have to work on screen sizes for you, especially if we're streaming this. Makes it a little difficult to see the command sometimes. Almost done. Yep. All done. Okay. How about this one? This one's still going. Let's go ahead and in our WinSCP, let's look at that ZDC report. A refresh. There's a report. Download. Okay. Let's do a refresh. Is it done? Not yet. This is 145. Yeah, this is 145. It's not done yet. But we can look at the 146. So let me open up. SRs. Where did it go? Here we go. Here we go. ZDCs. Let's open up index. The other one did finish. So let's do this. System information. ZCM zone is 2020 and ZDC is 20. So that's good. We got the same one. We got the right one for the right. Now Zookeeper is not configured. So it is missing that file, and that we can move on with. And the Zen database report, everything looks good on the database itself for the ZenWorks database. Let's go ahead and transfer the other 145, refresh, download, and that's 853. So let's go back over to .853. Load this index up. Again, system information will tell us 2020. We do have a recommitted snapshot is enabled for the database, so it kind of gives us those details. Zookeeper is available, it's just inconsistent. And we're not running Zookeeper, so we can move on. And the audit database looks good. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to be fine with our ZDC running. If there are any questions, be sure to check with us. We'd be happy to talk to you about them. And now we can go ahead on 146. We can close this. Go home. Leave. And we can go to where was I going next? Oh, I was going to go to the restart services. We can actually stop services here. Stop. That's on 146. Now we can go over to 145. Go to ZenWorks Control Center. I think we're logged in. I already have a page open. Oh, nope. Timed out. Oh, this is Zen Admin. Okay. So configuration, system updates. We're going to go ahead and apply this particular deploy update to devices. Next. Next, we want the reboot. Let's not go so quickly through those. Sorry about that. It's a habit. So we're going to do selected devices. We also want to make sure that here's your README if you need to go out there. And it has some details here, some notes and warnings. So be sure to observe those. One thing, well, let's go ahead and cancel this. So let's go to the update itself. This one doesn't, it does have it. Replication status. Make sure the replication status is 100% on both primaries. So we are. So let's go ahead and start that deployment. And we're going to deploy to a select device. And we're going to prompt user reboot when finishes applying. And we're going to hit next. We're going to add DA zone. Now we're going to do now instead of scheduling a time. Finish. And this is a great URL to have. Sorry, I meant to grab that. This URL. This will show the status of the system update. So a lot of times you'd have to look at your ZenWorks logs to see what's going on. But if we go, we're on 146, let's go ahead and go here. I'm going to make this, I don't have DNS running yet on this new ESXi, so we're going to put in the IP. And we're going to go, please. And this will be a status. let's go ahead and log in and do a, oh, I guess we could do it here as well. For ZENworks update system refresh, we're going to trigger that so that this update will kick off. So we're going to wait on this. Any questions in chat about what's going on? Oh, thanks, Kurt. Yeah, there's YouTube settings that will help. By changing those settings, you can better see the screens. And if you go down to your settings and do, instead of doing automatic, putting those on the full, the 720, it should give you a clearer picture. Thanks for that note, Kurt. I appreciate that. So we're waiting just to see it kick off. Once we're done, we'll go ahead and apply it to the second one, but we also want to make sure, there it goes, it's kicking off now. It's updating the packages. And when we do go to the second primary, we don't have to turn any other, we can turn all the other primary services back on once the first one is done, because the schema is updated. Remember that it updates the schema on the first run, first primary. So we want to make sure that that's updated and no other primaries or satellites are talking to the database while it's being updated. So that's one of the factors that we're eliminating there, is turning off those other services. So there's no communication to the database. It could run through the update and be pristine. So once that's complete, you can bring up the services on all the other primaries and then start implementing this one at a time to each of the primaries. It will rebuild those packages. So the ZENworks packages, pre-agent, the pre-agent packages, be sure to wait for that to complete. So you want to, and we'll see that here in a minute. It'll take another few minutes for this to complete. Sorry about the delay. If there's any other questions in the chat, go ahead and shout them out. We're at 29% now. And these will probably all fail because services are down on everything, on all the ZENworks control centers. Okay, so that's normal. This one we can still track though. The port 7444. Handy, handy, handy. Then when we start up on our second primary, it'll list the second primary down here. So if you have satellites and primaries, they'll all start listing in the same page for the system update status page. You could keep tabs on them. The other way is to open up the system update log. That's under the logs, system update in the GUID. There's a system-update log that you can tail if you wanted to. We're at 41%. All right, moving through this. So yes, just got my new ESXi. It's working well. We got our MSSQL server out there attached to 145 and 146, which are 2020 zones primary servers. Next is to build this out with some satellites. Again, if you don't have a test environment and you want to see how the product might upgrade or migrate, or things that you might be stopped for. Throw up an appliance at minimum to be able to do the upgrade. But again, if you have the best representation of a test environment of your production environment is best. So being able to, if you have an Oracle database, have your test on Oracle. If you can, migrate your database over and bring it up so you have all that same content. Now make sure that you're not talking to that database. Make sure it's in its own private area, so it can't reach out to the managed devices and stuff, or you can have some confusion between the systems. But the closer to the production environment, the better. But even if you have a small environment and you're uncertain, throw up an appliance. It works really well to at least see what's going on, what's transforming in that test environment before you actually do your production. If you do migrate some of your database and stuff over, the nice thing is you can kind of have a guesstimate of how much downtime you'll need, right? You could see that it takes so long to do this now for a primary server. Of course, if you're comparing Windows to Linux to appliance, those will vary depending on the operating system a little bit. So again, having as close to production as possible, but obviously you're not going to have another 3,000 devices out there talking to your test environment, right? In my previous employer, I used to have a training. We had a training room, and I went ahead and I would quickly re-register my training environment, because it's always re-imaged anyhow, to my test zone, and I'd have my database migrated over so that we had pretty much close comparison to our production. And then I'd run the update on the test, and then I could also deploy the agent to my devices that are registered. And then when the day was done, I re-imaged, and I knew what kind of time frame I needed for downtime for the weekend. And I went ahead and I'd re-image the devices, and they'd be back in the regular production zone, waiting for the update to occur. So there's ways of getting around it. Be aware that it works best when you have a test environment to actually see what's going on. At least for me, I'm a visual type of guy. I appreciate seeing what's happening in my environment. So this is now at 62%. We're just kind of waiting here. I guess I could have looked at ZDCs during this time, but we'll wait a little bit longer to see this finish to 100%, and then we'll move on into the second primary server. So I can close this. We can look at the online updates. So this is our administration console for the appliance, and our zone name is DigiZone. So it's actually, this is 145, which is the first primary. The database is an external database, but if you log in as an admin or a root, you can get to these services for both the appliance itself in the OS and ZENworks. If you're uncertain where to look for the logs, if you just click on logs, it'll take you to that directory. It'll take you to the directory where all the logs exist. So the most common logs here for the appliance, for the OS, and for ZENworks. So you can see it already navigated us to the directory. We can see that in system update, we have the GUID for 2020. So 2.0 is 2020, and this is the date timestamp. If we go in here, these are the log files for all the different RPMs that are being dispersed. And if we look at the system update log, we can see the last 100 lines. We are at installing 62%. But know that those are there. The logs are there. It's a great way if you're not used to an appliance of being able to get to your logs. Again, online updates. We show some security patches here. We obviously won't run them right now, but this red exclamation point will go away once it's updated and there are no more updates. You do have to register to the channel in order to get those updates. So in order to do that, you'd hit register. It's already registered, so it's checking the progress and checking out all the different updates. But if we look at register here, you can see that we're already registered and we're active. Okay. Again, you can schedule these and you can actually select update now if you wish to. There's also the previous installed patches from last time. You could see those here as well. Okay, so just taking a little walk through while we're waiting for that system update to complete. All right, so this will be the first time we've run patches on this particular appliance. We're at 70% and still going strong. Updating the packages at this point. So this status continues to change as it progresses through. So we have Terminal and File Explorer here. Again, if you are going to use the Terminal and File Explorer, you have to make sure SSHD is turned on, right? In order to run that. Or WinSCP, if you're trying to drop the ZDC onto the local primary, make sure you have the services turned on. SSHD, so that you can drop them in there. Or you can upload. In my case, I use SSHD with WinSCP and dropped them there. So here's some services here for ZCM 2020 on the appliance. Okay. You can configure your ganglia monitoring. And yes, the registration key for, thank you, Kurt, for online update is in your customer care portal. This particular one, if you deregister, it'll ask you for your username, your email, and a number. That particular number is for the online updates channel, and it has no dash. If you look at your, and I can't bring it up right now because my ZCC is down, but if you're licensing your products in ZCC, those have dashes. So that's one way to distinguish them. I don't know if you remember that, but that's how I remember them, is online updates and the system update in ZCC and the NCC registration in ZCC. No dashes in that particular license key. So thank you, Kurt, for that shout out. Appreciate that. System update status, we're at 74%. I'll go ahead and close this. There are a couple of videos out on the on-demand site for running ZDCs, what to look for, how to run it, what the commands are. Again, we ran, there's two databases on my particular system, the ZenWorks database and the audit database, and you have to run them separately because it has to authenticate separately into those databases, right? So that's why I ran one with one primary and I ran the other database with the other primary. So it was just a choice that I made instead of just running it 2 times on one primary. But then again, I needed to run system files on the second primary anyhow. We're at 80. So you can change other things. You can change your firewall, your storage. You can check out your storage, time, network. This is like running YAST in this particular area for the appliance. Okay. Now you still can go to file terminal and run YAST, but this is just an easy way to maintain and manage this particular appliance. Okay. If there's other things that you would like to see in here, again, the ideas portal, some of these came from the ideas portal, some of these icons here. Okay, if there's a field patch, you can run a field patch here, which is different than online update, right? We're going to go ahead and check. We're at 85. Okay, let's refresh this. See how we're doing. All right. Because it's done an update and stopped some services, you'll see this went away. The exclamation point. When we bring this back up, because it thinks it's at 20.1 and we have to restart some services, but it's not quite complete yet, as we can see from our system update page. But when we log back in, we'll see that we have more online updates to go. Almost there, 94. And this particular zone has, it has a few bundles, has a few devices, so it has folders and folder structures. It has a network environment, locations and stuff like that. So I try to at least have some of those typical things in my zone so that it can be upgraded and kind of see what it affects. We're at 96. Getting close. Anything else in the shout out? In the chat? Okay, 100%. We are good there. Let's see. Let's wait for a success. It's going to be starting services again. Doesn't show completed. Still shows in progress. Okay. Still going. What we will do is we will reboot. This is 145. This will go away because we just rebooted the server. Let's go check our server. We go 145. That's odd. I'll shut it down here. Again, getting familiar with my ESXi. So I appreciate your patience on here. Can't reach that page again. The system status is, oh no. Probably error out. Let's go ahead and start this guy back up. Moving on, we will see a ping shortly. Appliance is coming up. We are in the zone. Let's root. This should be coming up now too. Not there yet. Almost there. It's thinking. Next, we will do the next, once we get ZCC up, we'll do the second primary. I've seen this take a little bit. We covered the docs. Oh, be aware that under the database, here's your migrations if you have to migrate Sybase to PostgreSQL, MSSQL to PostgreSQL, or Oracle to PostgreSQL. So, and then there's other, if you're moving from one primary to another, there's maintenance. So check those out. They've worked really hard on getting these complete, and they've done a great job on those to give you a step-by-step. Let's see if we got anything coming up with this guy. Here it is. Let's go ahead and log in as ZenAdmin. We saw that it was a 20.1 just before. Notice we do have online updates. We're going to go and let's see if we can reach our page for 7444. Okay. And then if we go ahead and go to ZenWorks Control Center. See if we can get out there. Let's try again. There we go. Yeah, I gotta check my time again. 20 minutes off. Okay, so notice the first thing that comes up is, by the way, upgrade P2, right? And know that there may be more in the zone. It does say P1, which is DA zone. And why is that? Anybody know? You are correct, because it's updating the packages right now. It's not actually complete if we go to system update. It's not success. It's still pending. And if we look, we'll see that it's updating. It's installed the update, and now it has to refresh and start working on the packages. So we don't want to start our second primary until this one actually says successful. Okay? So if we go over here and we do a... Oh, that's the wrong command. Let it talk and see that it's back up. That's why I'm refreshing it. So it'll see that it's back up, and then it'll start processing those packages, the bundles. Let's do an auto refresh every 15 seconds here. See if we can see what's coming up. Okay, let's go on over to 146. We can restart services here. Or we could restart the appliance if you wanted to, but all we did was stop the services. See if it's rebuilding. Sometimes this takes a while for rebuilding too, so be aware. We may not want to bore you with the second one. Services are started. I'm curious if we can get to the ZCC. And if this one also has a time issue. Okay. Yeah, this isn't done yet. We'll be sure to upgrade the online updates to as far as our maintenance. Still waiting for ZCC. You can refresh the device here as well. Take the defaults. If you've done it before, you've seen it before, it'll do rebuilding pre-agent packages right here. And then it goes through it builds 21 of them or so for the different products, and whether you have .NET and no .NET and that type of thing. I'm not getting much of a response on this guy yet. There it is. Yeah, I got to work on that time. And we'll see the same thing over here, obviously. We should be able to see under diagnostics. So we can see it's an external SQL server. Okay, for both of those. And you can also see that it now recognizes 20.1. This one still has to be done. This one shows update successful. So just because it's successful there doesn't mean it's successful in the system update, because it's rebuilding those deployment packages. So be aware that it's still pending. So you want to make sure it's completed successful in here on that first one. And this may take a while. So that's the update. Then what you'd want to do is make sure you have a backup of your database and your primaries, so that you have now a new baseline. Update your corporate documentation showing that you're at update 1, and you'll be good to go after you get all your primaries and satellites complete. So I don't see any other questions in chat. I'll keep moving on to what we're doing next week. So next week is the last of our pilot. So let me get the right display on here. Hang on a second. Let's go to people are still on there. Let me turn that off. Form news and guests. There we go. So next week is going to be our final week in the pilot. We're gonna look at the analytics, see if you guys have been responsive, if this is a forum that you want to have. We're gonna look at some cadences. We're gonna look at the surveys. If you haven't taken the survey, please take the survey. And it'll give us an idea of time frames you might want to see this. Something to think about. Do you want to see this in the evening? Is it better for you in the evening to go through this instead of your busy days, right? Would you rather see it after hours? We're thinking of including the 3 different time zones. So there's going to be some discussion there. And then we'll obviously have a demo again. But primarily it's going to be discussing what's going on, and we'll probably have a surprise guest or a special guest come aboard talking a little bit more about the ZENcast and upcoming things with ZenWorks products. Okay? Don't have it all lined out yet because that's our final one. But primarily we're going to see where we go from here. And we'll include you, ask you questions, so you can help us give you a better ZENcast if it's moving forward, which I suspect it will be. It may not be on a weekly basis. It may have a different time change, but take that survey. Let us know what's best for you, and we'll be happy to try and fit that in. Let me see if I have... Yeah, subscribe below, if so that you get notifications. Today's Twitter went out saying no ZENcast, so I hope we had some viewers. That was from a previous setting, so I apologize for that. Again, we're discussing moving forward with ZENcast next week, and we'll also be going forward and having some technical discussions. We'll be able to get deeper into maybe building a bundle, not just doing updates, not just discussing the products, but maybe building a utility bundle, maybe understanding FDE or setting up a Pixie. Now that I have ESXi, I should be able to get some of those things well-rounded for the ZENcast. And I think we can get some more knowledge out to you and learn together on how we can best suit your environment. Any questions after the recording? Please put it in the recording. I'll go back into them and answer them. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys being on board today. I'm going to go ahead and real quick check to see if we have a complete, which I don't think we will. System update. Yeah, it's still working on those packages. Okay, as you guys have seen in your own labs and on your production environments. If you've seen this before, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. Stay safe out there. You know, everybody's going through this, and we want to let you know that we're here for you. But most of all, keep family close, keep them healthy, and stay safe. I appreciate you guys joining today, and we'll see you next week. Thank you much.